Welcome to the Davao Carbon Forest. This is a project between the Philippine Eagle Foundation and the Ayala Land Corporation aiming to bring back urban green spaces.
The Carbon Forest is situated in Bago Gallera, Davao City, and is now on its third year of providing ecological, social, and environmental value to people as well.
Hi, I'm Adrian Constantino.
And I'm Trinket Constantino.
We're passionate bird watchers and we are here today to present the wonderful birds of the Davao Carbon Forest.
This is in celebration of the Philippine Eagle Foundation's Wildlife is Here 2021 for the United Nations World Wildlife Day. Are you ready, Adri?
Let's go!
Let's go!
The Davao Carbon Forest is home to 54 species of birds thriving in the various types of habitat found in this lowland urban green space.
15 of the 54 bird species are endemic, meaning they are only found in the Philippines and nowhere else in the world. Indeed, wildlife is here, and we hope to document more species in the future.
We present the birds of the Davao Carbon Forest.
The grasslands of the Davao Carbon Forest are home to the eastern cattle egret. Locally known as tagak or tulabong, it's a very common bird and is usually seen associated with carabaos or cattle.
So they like to perch on top of the carabao or the cows, and they eat insects.
Yeah, that's stirred up by the footsteps of the carabao. Sometimes they even eat the ticks on the cattle or the carabao. So it's a very easily seen bird.
The grasslands of the Carbon Forest is also home to flocks of Chestnut Munas.
It's a very cute bird with a black head and a chestnut colored body. Did you know that before the Philippine Eagle was declared as national bird in 1995, it's actually the Chestnut Muna that was our national bird. But it's also seen in other countries and you often see it in grasslands and rice lands eating seeds.
Then we also have the Eurasian tree sparrow. This is probably the most common urban bird in the Philippines. It's called ayang bahay or goryon.
Birders just call it ETS. And it's very common, but you see that it's a very handsome bird also with a dark cheek. Here you see it carrying some nesting material, probably going to build a nest.
I think it's a feather.
So in the watery areas of the Carbon Forest, you also might see this white-breasted water hen. So it's a very shy bird, often seen walking beside the water or in the grass.
So it's called locally called kuruwakwak because of the sound that it makes.
What does the sound?
Kuruwakwak, 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 kuruwakwak.
And so it has this white face and black back, and you often see it foraging for insects, and I think it also eats vegetation.
The ponds also attract colored kingfishers, and it's probably the most common kingfisher in the Philippines.
So this is a very distinctive bright blue bird. Even if it's called a kingfisher, it doesn't just eat fish, it can also eat other animals.
Like lizards, snails, snakes even.
Yeah, so even if there's no water, actually you can find these kingfishers. This is another predator, your brown shrike. It's also known as pakiskis or tarat. And it's a very good predator. It eats snakes, small insects, lizards,
moths, etc. And it usually impales its prey on thorns or even barbed wire.
And it keeps a larder of its food that it keeps going back to in case there's excess food for
So
it.
that's why it's sometimes called the butcher bird.
So this is very common even in highly industrialized areas, in cities
So
and
it's a
in
migrant.
It's a migrant and it only spends the winter here. It's not here all year round. So the forest, of course, the forested part of the Bago Gallera is where we will see forest-associated birds, and it's these trees where birds like the white-eared brown dove find refuge. So the white-eared brown dove is an endemic dove. It's called alimokon and it has a very distinctive call. So you might be very familiar with the call, and this is that bird making that call. So you see it here eating a fruit of a native vine. It's
tibatib.
the tibatib. It's a fruit eater. You'll also see it in other fruiting trees, and it's very quiet and hard to spot. Just like this one, very hard to spot, the black-faced kukal.
So this one is another endemic. In fact, this is a Mindanao endemic.
Only found in Mindanao.
Mindanao and several islands in the southern Philippines. It also has a nice call, similar to the white-eared brown-duck, but slower.
It's hard to spot because it's a skulker, so it's often just walking in the tangles. This is a quiet bird. It's hard to spot because even if it's out in the open, it's very still. So this is a Philippine Drongo cuckoo.
So again, it's another endemic, usually found in forest of the lowlands.
So it has this nice glossy black color and a very thin, sharp bill.
And then we have this coleto. It's a near endemic. It's locally called saling or kuling or iling because of the metallic sound that it makes.
Yeah, and you can see it has that pink around that eye. It's actually pink because that's a bald spot. So there are no
skin.
Yeah, there are no feathers there. So it's very easy to identify. It has a patch of white also at the back of its neck. So coletos can be very musical and it's very distinctive when they're calling in the forest.
Another forest bird is this Blackmate Monarch. It has this azure, like powdery blue color. This one is a female. The male has...
The male is a little more blue and a little more intense blue. This is in the family of the flycatcher. So you see its little beak, which is opening there to sing. It's used to catch insects.
Then of course, we have our endemic owls. This is the Everett Scops Owl. We have this pair. So they usually roost in the dark areas of the forest.
But of course, it's best to observe owls at night when they're hunting. Very distinctive tufts of feathers that look like ears and their bright red eyes.
Then the forest edge of Bago Gallera holds several beauties as well, like this Philippine hanging parrot, or locally called kolasisi or kusi.
So this is the smallest parrot in the Philippines, and this is a female. The male will have a bright red patch on its chest. It's a very cute parrot. Unfortunately, these are illegally caught for the wildlife trade. Catching of any wildlife is against the RA 9147.
Or the Wildlife Resources and Protection Act.
Here's another beautiful bird, the Rufus crowned bee-eater, or piruk-piruk. Again, after its sound, it goes piruk-piruk-piruk. So as the name implies, it eats bees, but not only bees.
You can also eat dragonflies, butterflies, as well as other insects. So it's a very agile flyer. So it flies out, catch an insect, and returns to the same perch.
So it's very graceful, and you see that long central tail feather that's very distinctive also in flight. Here's a coppersmith barbette, or a pok-pok, pok-pok, pok-pok. That sounds familiar to you? That's actually the sound of the coppersmith barbette.
So it's the only barbette species in the Philippines, and similar to the woodpeckers, it can drill holes in dead tree trunks for its nest.
So even if it has those bright red patches, it can be difficult to see in the canopy because of its green color. Not like this one. It's really very brightly colored. This is a Blackmate Oral, and again, the sound of this bird might be very familiar to you. So it goes. It has that nice whistling sound, and sometimes there's several of them calling at the same time.
So it's locally called kilyawan or antolihaw, no? And it eats caterpillars, insects,
Even fruits.
And then this is you're very familiar probably with this bird. It's a Philippine pied fantail, locally called Maria Capra, bilad-bilad, or baliala.
So you see it wagging its tail there. It actually can spread its tail out, hence the name pied fantail. These are very smart looking birds, a bit aggressive. They like to dive bomb dogs or cats or even humans, especially during nesting season. They're also flycatchers, and they like to eat insects. They're very graceful in flight, and they also have a melodious sort of metallic call.
And then we have these yellow-vented bulbuls, no? Locally called pirok-pirok as well, pulanga or luklak. No?
So in urban areas, this is probably one of the more common birds you will find. Although it looks generally brown, if you look, it has a yellow patch of feathers under the tail, and that's its vent, and so that's where it gets its name. It likes to eat fruit, like the fruit you see here. So it's always nice to leave some fruit on the tree, share it with our bird friends. Don't get all the bananas.
They're also notorious for eating your chili or your siling labuyo.
Yes, if in the morning you find all your chilies gone, it's probably the yellow-vented bulbuls. But they'll also eat insects. On occasion, they catch they catch spiders, butterflies, moths, and other insects. So they have that little mohawk on the top of their head. Here's another very common bird. You might see it in downtown Davao in large flocks. This is the Asian glossy starling.
So it's called, it's locally called Galang.
We like to call it the vampire bird because look at those bright red eyes, very distinctive.
And it has this nice, from afar it actually looks black, but it has glossy, greenish, glossy feathers.
When the light hits it, it really shines. This is a black and white bird, but it has a very nice, distinctive, melodious call. This is another endemic. It's the Philippine Magpie Robin.
So this one here is a male with a darker black color. The female is just a little gray. So that's a pellet there, no? That's being regurgitated.
So sometimes the birds will regurgitate indigestible parts of their food, like the insect exoskeletons.
So this one here is a tiny, tiny migrant, a gray-streaked flycatcher coming all the way from mainland Asia.
So this is a very cute bird. It's very small. So up on the trees, we often tell people that it's easy to identify by its behavior of flying out from its perch, catching an insect, and then landing right exactly at the same perch.
So this is an olive-backed sunbird, a female olive-backed sunbird, locally called tamsi or pitip. That's the female, and this one here is the male.
So the male has that dark metallic blue throat. These are very cheerful birds. You probably see them drinking from flowers in the morning, but they also eat insects as well. Here's another nectar eater. We have the endemic red-keeled flower pecker.
So it's one of the most common flower peckers of the Philippines, and it's a bright red stripe down the white chest is a diagnostic feature.
So it's very pretty, and it has this high-pitched call. You might hear it also in the morning. Here's a larger bird.
It's a gray-faced buzzard. It's a migrant bird of prey coming from mainland Asia. They spend their winters here in the Philippines.
It's a very important pest controller. It will eat beetles and insects, which are pests of plants and agricultural products, and it also controls populations of rodents and snakes.
And then we have here our banog or lawin or Brahminy Kite. So it likes to soar up in the sky, and you can see its distinctive white head and rufus brown wings
with the black wingtips. So it's very nice to see these birds of prey or raptors soaring in the air. Sometimes you will see several Brahminy kites flying in the air at the same time, and it's a really magnificent sight. So that ends our virtual bird tour of the Ayala Davao Carbon Forest.
So together we saw 25 species of birds from various habitats, from wetlands, grasslands, forest, and forest edge.
We hope you enjoyed our virtual bird walk. Hopefully, in the future, we will be able to do this and bird Bago Gallera in real life.
So, but in the meantime, Let's continue saving and growing our urban green spaces.
Remember, remnant forest patches are refuge not only for the birds, but for humans also.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
And keep on
birding.
birding.
Bye.